What is that, Joe? Asparagus. Is it as tall as you are? Yum, yum, yum. Look, we've got another one growing here. It's a baby.
Hi guys, it is my favorite day of the week, Saturday, and that is because I get to go outside and spend a little extra time in my garden and in my yard. I thought this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and share with y'all what we do for our garden. So we use what is called the Back to Eden garden. And it's something that I came across, it's probably been 5 years ago. And this guy, his name is Paul, he was having issues watering his garden and he didn't have enough water, or it cost him too much to water his garden. And so he actually prayed to God for an answer, to a solution, so that he could still have his garden and afford to water it. So what he did was he actually went to nature and he kind of looked at an area that was wooded, kind of like what's behind me here. There's actually 4 acres of just wooded land over here. And nobody tills this land, nobody takes care of it, nobody waters the land. And you see, it's still overgrown, it's still growing. He looked at the ground and he uncovered the soil in the ground. You know, he looked at the ground and he's like, you know, nobody's watering this. This is just rain, but yet things are just growing by themselves. And what he did was he uncovered the soil and he noticed in there was like nice, deep, dark compost. And he realized that what happens in the fall is all this stuff is dropped. Pine straw, leaves, leftover wood that's fallen down, and it acts as a blanket for the ground. So he used the same idea in his garden. He went and found a free truckload of wood chips that you can pretty much find anywhere, because there's always tree companies that are like cutting trees down and they need a place to dump the wood chips. And he covered, and his garden used like half the amount of water. He noticed that his plants were more resistant to disease, and he also noticed that the soil was rich and dark and full of nutrients that helped his plants grow. So I've been doing this in my front flower bed for about 5 years now. The best thing about this is it gets better with time. So I'm just now starting my first year back near my greenhouse. So if I go over here to my front bed and I start moving back these wood chips, look how dark the soil ends up getting. And you would think this is like hard, but I can sit here. This soil is super aerated and it's dark and it's compost. And that comes from sitting here. It takes these wood chips a year or two to compost into this rich soil. And if I were to dig in here, I would find all kinds of earthworms. Honestly, I'm doing it because it makes the most sense. You sit back and look at nature. God speaks. He uses nature all the time to speak. And sometimes if you would just be still and know that He is God, there is a ton of things He can teach you just from observing nature. Do is we take boxes that we already have, or we can go down to the local Dollar General and they'll give you all the boxes you want, and we just kind of break them apart. And then I'm going to cover up the grass area, and this is going to kill off the weeds. Now, it's not ideal to have all those holes everywhere, so that's why you have to overlap sometimes, because this grass will pop through. It's usually, Kaylee, before we put dirt on this, we're going to water it down pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Because it helps break it down faster.
There are 2 places that I actually get compost from. The first is the Newport
transfer stations, and they have a truckload of compost that you can get for only $10 a load.
Whoa, Joe, what was that?
Truck.
So then we're gonna put this on top of the cardboard. Another option for compost is actually to use some of the soil that we have in and around our chicken run. We shovel up the dirt and then we sift through that dirt. The good dirt is ready to go and it goes through, and the things that are left over are things that we don't want. We just kind of throw that to the side. This way is a lot of work, but it's my favorite way to do it. The best thing about this compost is that I know where it comes from, and I know what has gone into it and what hasn't gone into it. I know that there are no pesticides, and so it just is a great way to get compost for free, actually. So I like to get at least 6 inches of compost, and then I just kind of spread it around, and it's usually enough to be able to plant in.
Let's go for a ride. Whee! Yeah.
Now it's time to get the wood chips, and this year our neighbor is actually sharing his wood chips with us.
Scaring any critters out of the wood pile.
Wood chips help conserve water, they help control weeds, it helps from soil erosion, and it helps to support seeds and growing plants.
The wood chips that we got last year, that's been sitting in my neighbor's yard for about a year now. So they said that when you find wood chips that have been sitting a while, you'll see like some of this white fuzzy stuff going on it, and that's perfect. That means it's composting. Decomposing, which is compost. Decomposing, which is compost, okay? So anyway, that's really good. So what we do is we cover the soil with this stuff, and I usually line it pretty thick and heavy in between my plants. And covering the soil will help keep the moisture in the soil. It will also protect the soil and some of the plants from some bugs. You can also put goat poop on top of the wood chips. So you put the goat poop on top of the wood chips. It rains like it's doing now, the poop will like slowly filter through into the soil, and it'll be perfect fertilizer for the soil itself. Plan is to cover this whole area with wood chips. And right now I'm just kind of getting one load at a time. So I'm hoping this helps my plants, because my plants are like half the size that they were last year. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. It has been pretty dry. It was dry March and April. Now it's May. This is like the first rain we've gotten. Another benefit of wood chips is when you have weeds like this, grass coming through, it makes it pulling up so much easier. Look at how fast and easy that came up. Because the soil underneath is so aerated because of this composting wood chips. So we get this, and another benefit of having my goats on this side is I will just go over and throw these scraps to them, and they usually eat it. Here we got some more. Got some more weeds. Just see how easy this pops up. Pop, pop. And it's not that many either. So it helps with weed control as well. Oh, let me show you how hard it is to pull like this up. Here we got grass that's not around the wood chips. See that? How much harder that is?
Other than if you go here.
And look, this even has some of the wood chips around it, so it's better. But look at this over here. It won't even get the roots because it just pops off.
Wow, that was super easy. Since it's raining right now, the goats don't like to come out. So
I'm just gonna finish pulling some of these weeds up. Does anybody else have a hard time trying to figure out if like they actually something they planted or if it's grass or weed?
I usually just wait until I can tell.
I know. Well, some of it like this I know is definitely grass, and it's probably from where the cardboard didn't completely cover underneath. Because sometimes you get cracks in the cardboard.
Oh, this is so easy.
So I got some goat poop right here, and all I have to do is throw it over. And see how it goes on top of the wood chips? And when it rains, or when I water it, it just will filter out.